Some of my favorite battles over the years that I have personally fought have been in the Empire versus Dark Elves matchup. I think just in general, when you get to kind of balanced factions in terms of their roster constructions, it leads to very interesting and dynamic matchups. In this particular battle, Cool Umbrella's the submitter coming in as the Dark Elves. He's up against Plague Penguin's Empire, and already we've got some Hellblaster volley guns teeing off. Balthazar Gelt in the air. I've been seeing a lot of him lately, which actually makes a lot of sense. He's super cheap, and Lore of Metal is really strong, so he's a great option for the Empire to get a very cost-effective, cheap caster lord. And then the rest of the army is just nice and wide. We've got some grenade launchers, Reichsguard, and Empire Knights, State Troops, Spearmen, and some Swordsmen as well. Looks like Silver Bullets, handgunners there in the center. And that's going to be it. Quite a bit of heavy cavalry here. The Reichsguard in particular in the center should be pretty decent. But to oppose them, we've got plenty of Cold One Knights, some Black Art Corsairs in the front line here, Sad Swords, looks like Lore of Death Sorceress, no Shadows, interesting, no Dragon either. Makes sense to a degree against the Empire, given their missiles. Got Harpies, Dark Riders working around the flanks, but already, as those beautiful Empire horns cue in for the soundtrack, Hellblaster volley gun going to be taking some big old shots. Silver Bullets also rain in. The Corsairs do actually not have any missile resistance. For some reason I was thinking they did. Must be thinking of Lions. Anyway, all elves look the same to me, to be honest. But the grenade launcher is opening up here a little bit as well. Not doing too much damage as the unit models are a little bit spread out, but the Empire's defense has so far held up. They've been able to do some damage to the Dark Elves on the approach, but the Dark Elves certainly with more melee hitting power here. These Harpies went way out wide, need to swing in a little bit closer, but the cavalry's now following up, looking to get some favorable engagements against the Empire cavalry here. Of course, the armor-piercing anti-large, the Cold One Knights, makes them a very cost-effective trade, 1 versus 1 in clean matchups. Going to be very tough to get those clean matchups, of course, but the Harpies do rush in. One unit going to get on those Outriders and try and hold them in place momentarily. Silver Bullets getting some nice volleys as the Hellblasters also unload into that one Cold One Knight there. Got caught up in the center. These other ones working the flanks here along with the Corsairs, starting to trade out some of those State Troop Swordsmen. Very nice for these Dark Riders. Also pin those Empire Knights, allow a Fate of Buna to go off, and basically just nuke that unit. Even though they're not super expensive, it's important, you know, tactically to get rid of them. Speaking of tactical, the decision to put Final Transmutation on only the Supreme Sorceress is definitely a decision. Like, I understand wanting to get rid of her quickly, but you're going to lose out on some potential value, not being able to hit multiple units with that, especially these Cold One Knights. I almost would say tactically it'd be worth it to maybe just find like this one remaining Cold One Knight and just single cast it there. Maybe you hit it on this one here in the center, just wherever you need to try and finish those Cold One Knights. But the Dark Elves rush is getting some serious pressure now. Murderous Prowess popping off. Sound seems really loud on my end. Let me know. I have to double check the recording when I'm editing this down. Make sure the sound levels are fine. For some reason it seems really loud to me, but that's fine. As it is, grenade launchers staying somewhat safe. They're able to continue firing here. I'm surprised the Hellblaster crew, at least on this side, is alive. The other one has been routed, but Murderous Prowess going to be wearing off relatively soon. Just kidding, it's got about a full minute left. A little bit less, but still, lots of uptime there for the Dark Elves to get some damage in. And this flank kind of collapse here is working well in the Dark Elves' favor. The Empire is holding beautifully in the center, pushing back the Dark Elves, although these Cold One Knights are definitely a danger here. And again, this is maybe another reason why, the Final Transmutation here, this is a good call. I mean, even though these are all multi-model units, you're still hitting like 6-7 infantry units. I guess 5 infantry units there, as some of them run out of that area of effect, but still very good value. Yeah, that said, this Supreme Sorceress is still alive. Balthazar's going to tangle with her up in the air. I think his melee stats are a little bit better. Let's just quickly compare here. Balthazar, let's see, 34, 38, 300. Yeah, less melee attack because of Murderous Prowess currently, but once that wears off, his stats will be significantly superior, so Balthazar can just win that Wizard's duel in melee. Nice. Fate of Buna, again, nukes those Outriders. Those are the same cost as the Empire Knights, actually, so value-wise, makes sense just to get rid of those most expensive targets. Reichsguard will also be a good target for it, but it looks like they got tangled up and dealt with just fine with some other units. let's see. Silver Bullet's also still alive, very impressively. Empire Knights collapsing the back of this Corsair here is going to be quite painful, and just in general, going to be able to get some rear charges with the Empire Cavalry here. The Reiksguard and the Empire Knights ready to save the day, or at least push those nasty Lizard Cavalry away. The Silver Bullets are able to get some good volleys in the meantime, and it's looking pretty good there. That said, Balthazar's in a bit of trouble as the Harpies swoop in, and these Corsairs are able to get up and around this gap and engage the Silver Bullets. It's going to be super critical for them to shut down this powerful missile unit. One of the best missile infantry regiments for now in the game. Even given their cost, the magic damage, and just high rate of fire on a pretty decent damage unit already makes them just quite good. I mean, their DPS on the card doesn't look that impressive, but yeah, given the speed at which bullets move, they're almost impossible to dodge. Their accuracy as well means they're going to hit almost all of their shots. It's just a great unit, to be honest, in all Empire builds. Just about. Not all, but most. Empire Cavalry doing a great job kind of mopping up some units here, getting nicely ahead on the balance of power. That Supreme Sorceress still lurking in the distance, though. We'll see what winds of magic she still has available to her. Plenty of infantry here also, Sad Swords, Corsairs, Dread Spears, and plenty of spears. I mean, this one unit in and of itself probably has enough to actually wear down. These Reiksguard and Empire Knights are getting extremely tattered, and also critically, the Dread Spears are active, whereas these Reiksguard Empire Knights are going to be absolutely exhausted. So they're going to be significantly debuffed in their stats. This is one hidden component a lot of people don't think about. Someone did actually recently ask me about it, though, on a Dark Elf video. A lot of people don't realize, but Murderous Prowess does have a Vigor refresh component, and because it's 90 seconds, ostensibly it can refresh, you know, up to half or more Vigor, depending on the actions a unit's undertaking while it's active. Given different combat actions use different amounts of Vigor, right? So, like, fighting stationary uses a certain amount, shooting ranged weapon, I think, uses a little bit more. I could be mistaken. One thing I do know for certain is charging uses the most. So, you know, if you have a, like, Dark Rider or Coldwood Knight, Dragon, I guess Dragons don't get Murderous Martial Prowess, or, yeah, Murderous Prowess. Anyway, the point being, these units were able to refresh a pretty considerable amount of their Vigor. It didn't go all the way back up to fresh, but still, you know, considering they're kind of fighting just stationary, not really running too far, getting a lot of charges, they're able to refresh quite a bit, and that's going to be pretty decisive in this late game, perhaps. We'll see. The Dark Elves certainly might just go to army losses here, as the Lord fight over here that I've been completely neglecting. Balthazar was able to best the Supreme Sorceress and chase her off, so we'll see if that leadership dagger just leads to critical army losses here for the Dark Elves. But besides that, they're actually in a pretty promising position if they are going to be able to hold their leadership intact. But let's see. Balthazar himself also needs to come back, and I'm not sure, probably doesn't have much in the way of winds and magic. And he's going to have a hard time dealing with, again, the volume of Bleak Swords and Dread Spears here. The Silver Bullets getting chased down, and themselves are also tired now. Yeah, Empire Knights coming back around for one more charge. Trying to bypass the spears as much as they can. Do get into those Bleak Swords momentarily. Silver Bullets are able to open fire. Got a nice little slope, nice little downslope to fire on here. Decent lines of sight. And again, the Empire Knights doing their best to do what they do. Disrupt, block, break up these Dark Elf units. I do think the Empire's actually got this. I was thinking that the Dark Elves might be able to pull this back, but Balthazar himself is too much of a Chad to let that happen. Yep, there's army losses, so it's a victory for the Empire. Big thanks to Cool Umbrella for actually submitting a loss. A super close one, and certainly one that warms my heart as Plague Penguin's able to prevail with the Empire heavy cavalry there at the end, supporting the Silver Bullets. And man, like I said, handgunners, not necessarily the best missile infantry in general, but the Silver Bullets really are the real deal, for sure. And if you protect them well, they will absolutely pay for themselves. Nice to see Empire Knights actually paying for themselves as well. Reiksguard are basically just like a 5th Empire Knight in this particular build, but Balthazar also, considering how cheap he is very cost-effective, as mentioned. And then the State Troops, surprisingly, trade reasonably cost-effective as well, considering that the sort of militia tier of Dark Elf units are just straight up better in many cases, and just higher quality. They're a little bit more expensive too. But yeah, it's nice to see they kind of just trade evenly. One big reason I'm a big fan of state troops is that I think they're really cost effective for what they give you. I mean, ultimately, they're low tier light infantry. They're not going to absolutely just break the bank or you know, like destroy entire worlds, but for what you pay for them, for what you ask of them, they do what they need to. And that's part of why I love the Empire, to be honest. It's like me and the lads out for a stroll, getting in a massive scrap with some Dark Elves. This is us right here. But beautiful job by Plague Penguin. Big thanks to Cool Umbrella as well, again, for submitting that one. Definitely a fun matchup. Can go a bunch of different ways, but definitely leads to dynamic and close games. Some of my personal favorites for sure. So hopefully you also enjoyed that. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.